You know, for the longest time, we all kind of thought of Greenland as this huge frozen island way out on the edge of the world. But that is all changing. Right now, this remote island is becoming a central piece in a new global power game. So today we're going to explore exactly why.
And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures the strange paradox of Greenland. It's this place of forgotten history, literally littered with the relics of a past conflict. But those same relics point to a strategic importance that is suddenly, and I mean suddenly, roaring back to life. So it really makes you wonder, right? What changed?
To answer that, we're going to break this whole thing down into 5 key parts. We'll kick things off with its forgotten past, then look at the climate catalyst that's changing everything. From there, we'll dive into the great powers now in competition, the scramble for resources, and finally, what all of this means for the future of Greenland itself. All right, let's dive right in with that forgotten history. See, before Greenland was a headline about climate change, it was a critical, if kind of quiet, Cold War stronghold.
So the U.S. first set up military infrastructure here way back in World War II. But it was really the Cold War that turned Greenland into a frontline state. It became this crucial link in what was called the Distant Early Warning Line, or DEW line, which was this massive chain of radar stations designed to spot a Soviet invasion coming over the Arctic. But then, poof, the Soviet Union collapsed, and that whole threat just evaporated. The U.S. packed up, sold an entire military town back to Greenland for just $1. Can you believe that? A single dollar? And just like that, the island faded from the world's strategic map.
So, what brought it roaring back into the spotlight? Well, the short answer is climate change. The melting ice isn't just an environmental story, it's creating an entirely new strategic reality at the top of the world.
And this statement right here, it just nails the core issue. For centuries, the Arctic Ocean was frozen solid, desolate, and pretty much impossible to get through. Global power was all about the Atlantic and the Pacific. But that's not the case anymore. A new, navigable ocean is literally emerging from the ice, and with it, brand new opportunities for trade, for resources, and for influence.
Just take a look at this to see how dramatic this change really is. On the left, that's the minimum sea ice we saw back in the 1980s. On the right, that's what it looked like last year. The difference is absolutely stark, and it's opening up new shipping lanes, new access to resources, and, you guessed it, new arenas for competition.
And this whole process is speeding up like crazy. As this chart shows, the Arctic isn't just warming, it's warming 4 times faster than the rest of the planet. 4 times faster. Think about that for a second. This rapid-fire transformation is the engine driving the whole new geopolitical game in the region.
So yeah, this accelerating change is basically redrawing the global map. This new ocean has become a new board for a very old rivalry, the great power game.
The key players are exactly who you'd expect: the US, Russia, and China. Russia is aggressively dotting its Arctic frontier with new military bases and claiming huge swaths of the ocean floor. China, even though it's like 900 miles away, has declared itself a near-Arctic state and is teaming up with Russia on an ice Silk Road. In the U.S., it's rapidly ramping up its presence, upgrading old bases, running military exercises, and actively working to block its rivals. And if you want proof that things are serious, look no further than this. In 2020, the U.S. reopened its consulate in Nuuk, Greenland's capital. After shutting it down way back in 1953, the Americans are physically back. It's a diplomatic footprint that sends a clear signal. In this new great game, the U.S. is officially back on the board.
Now, this great game isn't just about military posturing. It's also a full-on resource scramble for valuable minerals and critical infrastructure.
Okay, check out this story about Greenland's airports. It's the perfect example of how this plays out. So Greenland needed to expand its airports for its own economic development. China steps up and offers to fund the whole thing, but there's a catch. A Chinese company has to build them. Well, this set off major alarm bells in the Pentagon. They feared China could gain leverage over strategic infrastructure right on America's doorstep. So the U.S. put pressure on Denmark, which still handles Greenland's defense, and Denmark stepped in to fund the airports themselves, which effectively killed the Chinese deal.
And that wasn't a one-off thing. The U.S. has been systematically blocking China's attempts to get an economic foothold. Another Chinese-backed mining deal was scuttled, and guess who stepped in with alternative funding? The U.S. It's a very clear pattern. The U.S. is determined to prevent China from controlling the rare earth minerals in Greenland, the stuff that's essential for everything from our phones to our electric cars.
But what about the people who actually live there? It's so easy to see Greenland as just a piece on a chessboard. But the Greenlanders themselves are waking up to their own power in this new reality.
So if you ask Greenlanders what they think, the polling is pretty clear. While a lot of them might see China's rise on the world stage as a positive thing, they are deeply hesitant about Chinese investment at home. We're talking nearly 70% opposed to it. This creates a huge challenge for Greenland's leadership. How do you fund the development your country desperately needs without giving up control or compromising your values?
This quote from a Greenlander named Kupanuk, wow, it really gets to the heart of it. There's this growing awareness that their island, which was once seen as kind of a colonial burden, is now a source of immense leverage. I mean, think about it. Without Greenland, Denmark is a tiny country. But with Greenland, it's an Arctic power. And Greenlanders are starting to realize exactly what that power is worth.
So Greenland is navigating its new position very carefully. They're open for business, for sure, but they're prioritizing partners they see as like-minded nations. It's an incredibly delicate balancing act. They have to weigh these huge economic opportunities against the potential environmental costs and their own desire to build a sustainable future on their own terms.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question. In this brand new era of competition, where a warming planet is literally redrawing the map of global power, will Greenland be able to use its newfound leverage to forge its own independent destiny? Or will it just become another battleground, a pawn in a much, much larger game? The future of the entire Arctic may very well depend on that answer.